What is exalting? Exalt as a word has a few meanings, but they all run along the same vein. The meaning that Flight Rising uses in regards to dragons is this: to raise to a higher rank or a position of greater power. A dragon that has been exalted is essentially removed from the game. They are sent off to live with the deity that their lair is under. The Arcanist, if it's an arcane-based lair, which I am, or Plague Mama, if it's a plague-based lair, Drool Mama, if it's a shadow lair, etc., etc. When they are sent off, they leave behind some treasure for the clan that they left. The amount of treasure left behind is dependent on the level the dragon is. The higher the level, the more treasure is left behind. Many players, myself included, take advantage of this reward by buying cheap dragons and leveling them so that when they are exalted, they get more treasure, than they spent on the dragon. Dragons that are bought and sold for this one purpose are called exalt fodder, or just fodder, like I mentioned in the terminology. Leveling fodder dragons is a quick and easy way to make money in the Coli. You don't have to wait until you have a certain number of drops to get a certain amount of money, and it's faster than maxing out the fairgrounds, which is this. Before I got level 25 dragons, I had to max out the fairgrounds every single day. Well, almost every day, because I'm a little lazy and it's very tedious, in order to get 75,000 every day. It was my main source of money. The basics of fodder leveling is this: you have 1 or 2 trainers, like I mentioned before, that level 1 or 2 fodder dragons to any level between 6 and 10, and then you exalt the dragons. I showed an example a couple of moments ago. The more detailed version of fodder leveling is this: you have 2 trainers. If you have 2 trainers, you have 1 fodder, and all 3 are in the mire or the kelp beds. We were in the kelp beds with 2 trainers, remember? If you don't remember what they were, it was these 2 girls right here. If you have 1 dragon, you will have either a Mire Flyer or a Ghostbuster, or any variation of those 2 for different venues. And alongside that single dragon, you will have 2 fodder dragons. As you can see, I have several dragons here that I am preparing to level. This guy's already leveled. These 2 I will be leveling in the mire. I will show you an example at the end of this video. Now, when you have only 1 dragon, it's very important that you use either a build like this, which I mentioned earlier before, or a build like this. Because if you only have 1 dragon, but you need to level yours, it's possible. They just need to have the right stats. Alrighty. Let's go exalt this 1 dragon, and let me show you the treasure payout. The treasure payout. That last word didn't come out too clearly. Alright, I bought Harwin, he was already named, for 7,000 treasure. Let's see what I get for exalting him at level 6. He's going to the Arcanist, because I'm in Arcane lair. Look at that. It's about 4,000 extra treasure. It's not a massive profit, and if I would have leveled him to about level 8 or 9, I would have had a lot more, but it works for me. This guy is at level 7, a very common level that people level their dragons to. Let's see how much he gives me. He actually gave me less. It's a little bit weird. Well, actually, not really. You see, the amount of treasure given out at Exaltion is actually random within a certain range. The higher range of the level 6 level Exaltion is in the 11,000s. The lower range of the level 7 Exaltions is actually in the mid 9,000s. Interesting, right? It goes without saying that the higher you level your fodder, the more profit you're going to make. Let me show you what it's like to level 2 fodder in the mire. Here's Mary. I usually put her in the second slot or in the third slot. It's simply out of preference, however, you should never put them in the first slot because then they will lose a turn from their ambush glitch. Here's the 2 fodder. And here's the mire. Now, this is one of the more ideal setups to start with. When you're heading into the mire or any other venue with a single leveler, it is important. It is very, very important to start out with mostly meditate enemies. Physical hitters like this poisonous Torridae will deal a lot of damage to your single dragon, and your dragon will not be able to defend itself for 3 whole turns. This means they will get 3 times the amount of damage, maximum, if the enemies do not crit hit, do not give a critical hit, and they will only be able to deal 1 turn of damage. Now, if you use Rally on your dragons, they will be able to deal 2 turns of damage every time they get the chance to attack. Mary does not have a Rally, so she has to endure the hits. However, once she's set up with enough breath, she's able to dish them out pretty hard. As you can see, we got 1,302 points of experience right off the bat. However, no victory chain experience. Very odd, is it? Not entirely. You see, victory chains are bonus experience given to dragons depending on the venue that they're in. If the dragon is in a too low of a venue, they're not going to get any victory chain experience because they're too strong for that venue. It doesn't take that far off for it to not exist. This is a level 24 venue and Mary's level 25, which means she's not going to get any extra experience. However, if we were battling in the kelp beds or in the golem workshop, then she would be. However, she cannot deal with those higher venues on her own. Here's an example of 3 enemies that are able to dish out a lot of damage to Mary. Now, Mary only has 348 health. Each one of these guys can deal over 200 damage. If 2 of them hit her, she would not be able to survive. She would faint. I have a couple of alternatives. I can either use 2 potions, a health potion, which increases health by 250, or a minor health potion, which increases it by 100, or I can use sap. Sap takes away from the breath that she has by 15 points each time, and it only deals 100 points, well, approximately 100 points of health every time I use it. That's the equivalent of using 2 minor health potions, but also dealing about 400 to 500 points of damage each time. Which one do I want to do? Personally, I would use the health potions. The reason for this is I want to preserve her breath. Not dealing damage during that turn doesn't do me too much harm, as long as they don't all attack her. Now, this was a bit of a waste of health potions because she does not have enough health to deal with this. But that was just an example. Personally, if she has less than half health and she comes across 3 attackers and she's not prepared to deal with them, especially since these are poisonous Torridae, which cannot, for some weird reason, cannot be one-shotted by a rally to eliminate, I would refresh the Coliseum. Refreshing the Coliseum helps you to restart the battle without losing any energy. Every time your dragons faint in the Coliseum or lose a battle, they lose energy here. These guys right here have energy lost. That's because I battled with them earlier, but the dragons that I had with them weren't strong enough for wherever they were, and they all lost. They lost 5 points because they lost the battle. Now, I'm going a lot slower than I normally would because I'm trying to walk you guys through this. However, I would have already had these two at level 6 if I wasn't going this slow, because I tend to click quite quickly. Now, as you can see, I scratched him, the common potted, scratched it. Not sure if it's male or female. It's quite fluffy on the chest, I never noticed that. Fluffy potteds. Because I did not rally at first, I had to scratch, and now I'm going to eliminate. Salve Itachis are actually quite formidable. Even though they meditate, despite the fact that they are wind element, Salve Itachis use contus. If Mire is contused, she is dealing 25% less damage for every attack. I mentioned this before when I spoke about contus. Now, Mire has less strength than other dragons, remember? She can't afford to be contused. So, I always rally at first, and then I use eliminate. And I try to take them out as quickly as possible. Now, I defeated them all before they could contus her, but if they were to contus her, I would have to scratch an extra 2 times before I could eliminate them. The reason for this is her rally to eliminate is only slightly higher than a regular glass cannon's eliminate. Being contused, it reduces that eliminate down to less than that of a regular glass cannon's eliminate. So, despite the fact that she would be rallied, it still ends up being less. So, Salve Itachis, you should always try to take them out as quickly as possible, and despite the fact that they are meditating enemies, don't start out with a team of 3 Salve Itachis in the mire. Now, this is a wartoad. Wartoads are physical attackers, and Mire cannot handle one. I'm going to show you guys, however, what happens when you have a single leveler going up against a boss. You should only level with single levelers if you don't plan on hunting for bosses. If you plan on hunting for bosses, you should use 2 levelers, because bosses deal a lot of damage, whereas having 2 levelers would deal twice as much damage to that boss. As you can see, she's not going to survive this. Mire and the 2 fodder dragons just lost 5 energy. Let's see, she's right here. Remember how they had 5 energy less before? Now they have 10. Sized Itachis are very powerful mobs. They're a lot stronger than most others in the mire, and you should not start out with a team of 3 of them. They all take out 200 plus points of health with each blow that they do. 3 of them is 600. That's half of Mire's health. She cannot deal with a team of 3 of them at once without an eliminate. So, I usually press F5 to refresh the Coliseum and start over. Mossy Suridae are perfectly fine to start out with in the mire. You basically just scratch them, and before the match is over, you'll have enough for an eliminate. I recommend saving it, however, for the next battle, so just scratch them until you're done. As you can see, some plague attacks can cause virus. If I were to use sap while she has virus on her, she would actually lose health. Sap deals healing while also dealing damage to the opponent. Well, it gives healing points to Mary, health points to Mary, while also dealing damage to the opponent, like I mentioned before. While having virus cast on her, Mary would actually lose health every time she used sap. Alright, so I just used Rally on her. Now, Brilliant Psyworms have a little bit more health than everybody else. I altered Mary's stats before, so I'm not entirely sure if she can one-shot these, but let's definitely try. Nope. And she didn't survive, so let's refresh this. No, Brilliant Psyworms have to be scratch eliminated even if your Mire Flyer has a Rally to eliminate. That was just confirmed. Alrighty, so this video's been going on long enough. I'm gonna finish leveling these guys on my own. But I want to thank you guys for coming along with me and watching this video. I hope it gave you some basics on the Coliseum, as well as a little bit on some builds. Defender is a glass cannon. I don't know how to pronounce that, but he is also a glass cannon, but he is a variation. And Coral is not the Mire Flyer. She is the Ghostbuster, like we mentioned before. There are so many other builds, and I will link the master list of different builds below this video in the description, and also in the Flight Rising post that I'm going to be showing you guys in order to show you guys this video. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm so sorry that it's so long. I didn't expect it to run on this long at all. But I hope it helped you guys a bit. For those of you who don't really know how to level, or didn't know that much about battle stones or anything like that. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can message me on Flight Rising. I am Evie Dream, as you can see there. And I'm going to be making other videos on the Coliseum. I'm going to be making some on leveling your dragons from scratch. I'm already working on a team with this guy here and a few others. So when I finish getting some step-by-step things on that, I'm going to post up that video. It's probably going to be very long, and it may take me a couple of weeks to do it, only because leveling dragons takes so long, and it's quite expensive. But I'm definitely going to be working on that. Before I do an actual step-by-step guide in video form, I'm actually going to explain some other popular guides so that you guys can get a breakdown on what they're saying. Of course, I'll be doing that with the guide maker's permissions because it's their guides, and I don't want to go making videos on other people's guides like that. So, yeah, once again, thank you. I already thanked you guys like at least a billion times for watching, and I hope it helped a bit. Just give me any questions. I'll see if I can make a short video explaining some things a little bit more in detail. This is mostly an introductory video. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.